get it this time.
That's it.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, Steve King came our way from Oklahoma, where he grew up, my understanding is, on a cattle ranch, right? Growing up.
I've shoveled about every kind of poop you can shovel, and it made me a better person. I think it actually builds character because you humble yourself when you do things like that. In that hot late July sun in Oklahoma, it's about 100 to 104 degrees. And when you get inside that loft of that barn, it's probably about 110 or higher. But doing those things builds character and makes you appreciate what you get.
Now tell us a little bit about how you developed a work ethic and a desire to really get to a high level with your football, because you really dedicated yourself.
Yeah, it was my sophomore year in high school. We didn't have a very good team. The high school I went to, I don't think we've been in the playoffs since the 1930s, 40s, something like that. Going into my sophomore year, I was a wide receiver. I didn't see very much playing time. When there was a definite need for a pass, though, they'd send me in because I was probably the one guy that they could count on to catch the ball no matter what. And then in the off season, the football coach decided he wanted to get an athlete at quarterback. So he approached me one day and said, "I'm going to make you our quarterback." When I figured out he was serious about it, I said, "I better get busy and really work hard here." A lot of the guys were, giving me jabs. I'd never play quarterback and that sort of thing. And that kind of inspired me to work real hard over the summertime. So my dad got me a job at the place he was working. It was basically a sweat meal. So I'd go work 8 hours a day and then come home. I'd grab a snack, eat a little protein or something, and I would hit the road and run about 3.5 miles, followed by about 2 hours of weightlifting. And I did that 5 days a week, okay, right through, and even a lot of times on Saturdays, and take a Sunday off before I started the whole regimen again. And I went from being about, 6 foot my sophomore year, and 150 pounds, to 6'2", 175 pounds. And I was in the best shape of my life. And really, there were two things that drove me. People telling me I couldn't do it, and secondly, fear that I would fail. And so I made a commitment. I was able to overcome the fear and the jitters once I got playing, because I got confidence, because when I went back and I played at my junior year, I could see as we started, August practice, I could hang with the guys. I could hang with the bigger guys. I got my confidence, and long story short, we got to the semifinals of the state playoffs before we were beat by the eventual state champions. We were undefeated up until that point. So we went from a team the year before that was 1-9 to a team that finished at 12-1. Okay, big difference. But it wasn't all because of me. I'm humble enough to know it wasn't simply because of me. Football's the ultimate team sport. I wasn't a captain then either as a junior. Captains were seniors. They were the real leaders. I depended on them. They were a big reason, and the biggest reason, I should say, for my success my junior year.
Let's talk a little bit about accountability, especially in regards to team sports, to football, and your belief in personal responsibility, because I think all of us can take a lesson from that.
Yeah, it's so important today. First thing I tell you guys is, no matter what happens, how much success you have, always remain humble. Look around and see the guys that helped you get there, okay? You're responsible to them. You're responsible. Football depends on everybody doing their job, right? It takes 11 guys doing their job to make it work. So every one of you, no matter what level you're playing at, you're responsible to your teammates to do the best you can do. Responsibility is something that you have to take all the way from the classroom to the playing field. It doesn't stop anywhere in between. Same thing at home. You get chores, you're in charge of taking out the trash, recyclables, whatever it is, cutting the lawn, you do it. You do it and you don't ask any questions.
Steve, tell us a little bit about where does education fit into all this?
Well, no matter where you go, whether it's your dream is to go play professional football, or it's to be an engineer, to be an attorney, whatever it is in life, the education is what's going to get you there. Personally, I can tell you, I kind of coasted for 2 years in college, and there was 1 year I went on probation, and I tried to hide it from my parents. My dad found out. Next year, I was up just about the honor roll, I'll tell you that. because the worst thing I could do is disappoint my dad. Probably the second worst thing I could do is try to hide it from him, not being a man about it. But I got serious, and I'll tell you what, I felt a lot better about myself too, because I was meeting my potential, I felt like, the last 2 years. The first 2 years, I was coasting. I thought, this is great. I'm on a football scholarship, I can just coast. Not good, not good. I learned a lesson from that. It took me a while to wake up, but take advantage.
And leave us with this on overcoming adversity, because if you're an athlete or just going through life, you're going to have some situations that are coming up that are pretty tough to work through. What are your thoughts on being able to battle through adversity, whether it's in sports or life?
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of examples out there. It's not a perfect world, as we all know, and every one of you you're going to face certain challenges, whatever it is. Whether it's a death in the family, some sort of disruption, you're probably going to face that, okay? There's very few that don't. Sometimes when you think that there's no way out of a situation, never think that. You got to never give up, never just say, hey, I can't deal with it. You got to deal with it. You got to deal with whatever adversity you come across. If you ever have a situation you feel like you can't deal with, reach out to a teacher, reach out to somebody that's a mentor, reach out to somebody that you trust. You got to be able to talk to someone and get it out a little bit, okay? Get it off your chest, don't hold it in.
And guys, just listen, effort and attitude are two things in life you alone control. Think about that. Everything you put your heart into, you could bring effort and you can determine your own attitude. Nobody else can do that but you. You can't control all the outcomes, but everything you put into it, you can. Let's give it up, Steve King.
Good luck to all you guys too. Best of luck.